On the night of our 5th wedding anniversary, I saw photos of Scarlett and her lover kissing on the trending topics. The diamond earrings on her earlobes were a wedding gift I'd given her last year. In that moment, the anniversary surprises covering the table suddenly felt disheartened. The woman I cherished with my life had already given her heart to someone else. At midnight, I stretched my stiff limbs. Deep in my heart, I silently made a decision. My 5 years with Scarlett Miller were over. All day, Scarlett Miller didn't call. She'd forgotten the promise she made when she left that afternoon, forgotten what day it was. Looking at the carefully prepared dishes and wine, I got up and poured them into the trash can. The crimson roses, dark as blood, mirrored my own bleeding heart. Slowly congealing, I threw the anniversary necklace into the trash, and turned to pack my bags. A woman whose heart wasn't with me was better off gone. Scarlett Miller didn't return until the next morning. Her face was flushed, and she collapsed wearily onto the sofa, a red mark visible on her neck. Scarlett Miller smiled suggestively at me. "Ethan, quick, get me a warm honey drink. I am exhausted." A wave of disgust rose in me. As I looked at her flushed face, I frowned, observing her wrinkled clothes and disheveled hair. When Scarlett Miller saw I didn't react, she whined impatiently, "Honey, hurry up, I am so thirsty." As she spoke, she stuck out her tongue and licked her lips. A vivid image flashed in my mind, her intimate scene with her close friend, her tongue doing the same. Instantly, a bitter taste surged in my throat. I was someone who lacked familial affection, and being home alone always felt lonely and cold. When we first got married, Scarlett Miller would still stay home with me every day. Later, she became obsessed with cycling and met her close friend, Blake Anderson. She started coming home later, and later, either cycling with her close friend, or helping out at his place. It wasn't that I didn't have opinions. Scarlett Miller would always say, annoyed and with a cold face, "If you don't support my fitness, fine, but don't hold me back. Are you even a man?" After that, she would give me the silent treatment for days, not letting me into the bedroom or speaking a single word to me. Time and again, I could only tacitly accept her staying out all night. Scarlett Miller's expression turned ugly. She kicked the coffee table. "What's wrong with you now? Is breakfast ready? Hurry up and serve it. I want to grab a bite and catch some sleep." Seeing her so presumptuously bossing me around, I found it amusing. In the past, no matter how busy I was, I would always get up early to prepare breakfast, and she would comfortably sleep until 8, but why was it always my job to serve her? As a wife, couldn't she occasionally prepare breakfast for me? For years, I often missed breakfast, and had to attend social events until midnight, which had led to severe stomach ulcers. I scoffed, "Scarlett Miller, let's get a divorce." Scarlett Miller froze, then angrily snapped, "Having a fit first thing in the morning. If he's sick, take your medicine. Don't go looking for trouble." I looked at her neck, covered in red marks, and shoved my phone in front of her face. "You and your close friend are inseparable. If we don't get a divorce, are you waiting for me to catch you red-handed? What are you talking about? Inseparable? I am exhausted. I don't want to waste my breath with you." Scarlett Miller glanced at the screen, her eyes darting away, then she covered up loudly. "Blake just got something in his eye yesterday. What's the big deal if I helped him blow it out? A grown man, constantly suspicious, aren't you ashamed?" With that, she rolled her eyes at me, and slammed the bedroom door shut. The intense provocation made my stomach churn. I couldn't hold it in anymore, leaning against the trash can and throwing up. In the beginning, to give Scarlett Miller a good life, I stayed up late every night working on proposals, running around to secure orders. For one order, I'd wait outside company doors, and if clients were happy, I'd drink with them until late at night. Due to my long-term irregular lifestyle, my stomach had bled 3 times, and I had extensive ulcers. I bought Scarlett Miller a luxury condo so she could comfortably be a stay-at-home wife. When she wanted to cycle, I bought her a bike costing $100,000. When she met Blake Anderson, considering he was her mentor's nephew, and took good care of her, I even bought him one too. I felt dizzy from vomiting, utterly drained of strength, and finally couldn't help but call Scarlett Miller. Scarlett Miller opened the door with a cold expression. Seeing me collapsed by the sofa, she finally realized something was wrong. She hurried over, asking anxiously like a normal wife, "Is your stomach bothering you again? You should go to the hospital." I nodded, and Scarlett Miller started to get her bag. Suddenly, her phone rang. "Scarlett, I might have twisted my back cycling today. I am a bit uncomfortable. Could you come over?" Hearing this, Scarlett Miller said frantically, Blake, it'll be right there, don't move. She then looked at me. This is your usual issue. Just take some medicine first. Blake isn't feeling well, and there's no one to take care of him, so I am going to check on him. With that, she strode out the front door and ran off. I curled up alone on the floor, clutching my stomach, trying to move to the dining table to get myself a glass of water, but I was in too much pain to move an inch, staring at the still swaying front door. I coughed up a mouthful of blood onto the dining table and collapsed flat. When I woke up, I was already in the hospital. It turned out a neighbor had returned late at night, seen my front door open, and found me collapsed in the living room. I fumbled for my phone, intending to arrange some company matters, but instead saw Blake Anderson's social media post. It's so good to have family, to be cherished and loved. I stared blankly at the accompanying picture, an unspeakable weariness in my heart. A pair of slender hands were massaging someone's waist, the person straddling their hips, though their face wasn't visible. The designer diamond ring on the hand unmistakably belonged to Scarlett. Finally, I took a deep breath. It was time to let go. Just then, the doctor walked over and admonished me. Young man, I've told you many times. You absolutely must not overwork yourself like this. Your job isn't more important than your life. Your condition is much more serious this time. When you go home, have Scarlett make you more stomach-friendly food. Where is Scarlett? Have her come to my office later. I'll explain some precautions to her. I smiled bitterly. Scarlett. She was busy comforting someone else, having long forgotten she had a sick husband. I knew the doctor meant well. I was his regular patient. Thank you. I'll definitely be more careful from now on, I vowed silently to myself, promising to take better care of myself. After 2 days in the hospital, Scarlett Miller actually prepared a table full of food. When I returned home, she said Blake Anderson knew I was sick, and came to see me. Looking at the seafood feast, roasted chicken, and spicy stew on the table, my stomach clenched. Blake Anderson walked out of the kitchen, eating a piece of beef. Buddy, I am telling you, you should exercise more. What can you do looking like a weakling? He then meaningfully glanced at Scarlett Miller. Scarlett Miller smiled, opened a bottle of red wine, and said to me, see how thoughtful Blake is. I told him it was just your usual issue, but he insisted on coming to see me. I scanned the living room, but saw no gifts. I chuckled, glancing at the brazen Blake Anderson, who was gnawing on a chicken leg. Scarlett Miller poured the wine for everyone. Blake Anderson wiped his mouth, took a big gulp, and smacked his lips, saying, this wine is good, quite flavorful. Blake Anderson then raised his glass. Buddy, I'll toast you, wishing you a smooth discharge. The smell of alcohol hit me, and I suppressed my nausea, saying expressionlessly, my stomach isn't well. The doctor told me not to drink. Blake Anderson's face instantly changed. What's wrong? You're not going to give me face. Hearing this, Scarlett Miller unhappily said, it's Blake's toast, how can you not give him face? Drink it right now. With that, she shoved the glass into my hand, and smiled at Blake Anderson, saying, he's just a stubborn one, he needs to be disciplined. She then took my drink, and forcibly poured it down my throat. Although I was a man, I was weak from just being discharged, and I didn't want to lose face in front of an outsider. After one glass, my stomach instantly began to ache. Blake is our team leader, so many people want to buy him drinks, but he usually refuses. Looking at Scarlett Miller's proud expression, I couldn't help but smile bitterly. I first met Blake Anderson at a cycling gathering. He casually put his arm around Scarlett Miller, which instantly annoyed me, but Scarlett Miller thought he was open and generous, unconcerned with minor details, and worshipped him like an idol. Their relationship grew closer, even to the point of sharing a bed. I subtly told Scarlett Miller to be mindful of boundaries between men and women. Scarlett Miller rolled her eyes. We're just cycling friends. When we're out in the wild, why be so particular? There are so many women in the group. If they were all as petty as you, we wouldn't get any cycling done. That was our first argument, and in the end, I was the one who apologized, which finally appeased Scarlett Miller. Later, we argued many more times about her staying out all night. Each time, she would cry and throw a tantrum. Do you think just because you give me some money, you can control my life and trap me in a cage? You're too selfish. Each time, I felt more disheartened. I wasn't against her going out. I just hoped she'd maintain some sense of propriety. It was clear their relationship had gone beyond normal boundaries, yet she still pushed the blame onto me. I had hoped that since Blake Anderson had a fiancé, and was probably getting married soon, things would improve once he settled down. This thought sustained me, helping me preserve our home time and again. I didn't know when Blake Anderson would get married, but I couldn't keep going anymore. Only when Scarlett Miller saw me drink did she say, "Satisfied is so difficult. You drank it, and nothing happened, did it? You just had to be dramatic." Blake Anderson scoffed. "What an act. If you didn't want to drink, you shouldn't have." Blake Anderson stood up, glancing sideways. "Since someone isn't welcoming, I am leaving." With that, he rose to walk out. Scarlett Miller immediately panicked and grabbed Blake Anderson. "Blake, you can't leave. Give your little sister some face. Have another drink." She then pulled Blake Anderson back to his chair. Blake Anderson reluctantly sat down. "Little sister, I am only staying for your sake. Don't worry, I'll take you with me on next month's trip to Skyline Ridge." Scarlett Miller was overjoyed. She quickly raised her glass, toasted Blake Anderson, and the two continued drinking and flirting, their eyes practically glued to each other. After they were full and satisfied, Scarlett Miller said, "Blake has something to tell you today. Doesn't your company need to order steel? Blake sells steel, so give him the order." I stared steadily at Scarlett Miller and firmly refused. "No." The moment I spoke, Scarlett Miller jumped up, glaring at me furiously. "Ethan Davis, how has Blake offended you? Why would you give the order to an outsider and not to him? Blake is a capable person. What's wrong with helping him out?" Scarlett Miller said, pushing me with a disgusted shove. "Since you won't give me face, get out of this house right now, and don't let me see you again." Scarlett Miller continued, grabbing my arm and forcefully pushing me out. I had no strength to argue with her, the churning in my stomach stimulating every nerve. It had taken me years to get the company on track, and this year we had just started new business. My partners had always been highly reputable long-term clients, not to mention Blake Anderson's capabilities. I didn't even trust his company, which often substituted inferior goods for good ones. He spent every day using sales as an excuse to party outside. He had no real performance. Partnering with someone like that would surely put the company close to bankruptcy. Scarlett Miller pushed me while picking up things nearby and throwing them. The trash can, the stool, and the water dispenser were all knocked over by her kicks. Finally, Scarlett Miller tore down our wedding photo and threw it at me. "Ethan Davis, since you don't care about our marital bond and won't help my older brother, then we're done." In the end, I had no choice but to stand on the street in the cold wind, just as I had when I first entered this city alone. Back then, Scarlett Miller stood by the school gate, smiling at me. "You just arrived, didn't you, classmate? I'll take you to registration." Her warm, sincere smile quickly won me over, but due to my insecurity, I never dared to think further. It was Scarlett Miller who actively asked me out to movies and dinners. Later, when we officially became a couple, I found out she was interested in my grades and wanted me to help her with her coursework. I didn't blame her. I even felt a sense of self-satisfaction, thinking that at least I had some utility, and that way, she would never leave me. It wasn't until 3 years after graduation, when my business succeeded, that Scarlett Miller agreed to marry me. That day, I stood on the street until dawn, finally making the decision to divorce. First thing in the morning, I arrived at the company, exhausted, only for Scarlett Miller to launch into a furious phone tirade. "Ethan Davis, I just kicked you out in a fit of pique, didn't I? How could you be so despicable and get back at Blake? How can I face my mentor and fellow riders? You despicable, treacherous scoundrel." In that moment, I realized I didn't know I could be described with so many adjectives: psychopathic, jealous, malicious, treacherous. I scoffed. "Scarlett Miller, what did I retaliate for, that she cursing me like this? I didn't give Blake Anderson the order. You want a divorce, and is it wrong for me to stay away from you too? Why would you make the company fire Blake?" Scarlett Miller screamed hysterically. "Don't you just know a few bosses? He's so devious, slandering him behind his back. I wouldn't back down anymore, wouldn't continue to tolerate their making a scene. Scarlett Miller, I am not famous and wealthy, wielding great influence in the business world yet. If it wasn't for you, why would the company fire Blake for no reason? Ethan Davis, you deserve your parents leaving you. You were a malicious child from the start, and they abandoned you once they saw your true nature. Ethan Davis, you deserve to have no home, no one to want you." My head pounded. So this was how she had always speculated about my origins. I had poured out all my grievances and vulnerability to her, and she had twisted it into a cruel stab. My parents divorced when I was 5, each starting new families. They all lived for love, pursuing their own romance, leaving me with relatives. Later, they disappeared entirely. My relatives, with no other option, sent me to an orphanage. Fortunately, they left me a small house, which supported me through college. This was a hidden pain in my heart, something I had only ever told Scarlett Miller. Now, she had cruelly rubbed salt into that wound, making me feel abandoned all over again. After this, Scarlett Miller never contacted me again, and I didn't go back either. That day, a group of unexpected visitors arrived at my office. Seeing the serious expressions of the IRS officers, I was a bit confused. "Mr. Davis, someone reported you for tax evasion. Please cooperate with our investigation." I quickly nodded. The IRS officers followed me to the accounting department and began pulling out all the income data. We worked until evening, only then organizing all the figures. The next day, I was summoned to the IRS office to provide an explanation for a certain payment from 2 years ago. I recalled it carefully. That payment indeed had an issue. The accountant I had just hired back then was a bit inexperienced. He had missed a payment when submitting the taxes, and I had told him to make it up as soon as possible. Later, due to busy operations, I forgot about it, and I didn't expect him to have actually not submitted it. The tax authorities immediately detained the financial personnel, and I was also detained for further review. Suddenly, there was widespread panic. Several clients who had paid deposits couldn't reach me by phone and immediately demanded refunds. People came to the company to cause a scene every day. Ms. Johnson brought me clothes and daily necessities, reporting in detail everything that was happening at the company, and my heart sank. Finally, I solemnly asked, "Ms. Johnson, do you trust me?" Ms. Johnson nodded gravely. "Mr. Davis, I've been with you since I graduated. I know your character." Finally, Ms. Johnson patiently comforted me, assuring me the company would get through it. I looked at Ms. Johnson gratefully. I hadn't expected an outsider to be the one to help me in my most difficult time. I thought for a moment, then asked Ms. Johnson to call a lawyer and entrusted the company's operating rights to her. Ms. Johnson looked at the power of attorney, and without declining, she said righteously, "Mr. Davis, rest assured, as long as I am here, I will ensure the company's stability." My heart ached, and I fought back tears. I told her my thoughts. Currently, if anyone requested a refund of their deposit, they must be fully refunded to maintain stability. Actively visit old clients and stabilize them, ensuring the company's business continues normally. I asked Ms. Johnson to sell one of my properties and recover some funds, transferring them all to her card as working capital. Finally, Ms. Johnson added all her savings. "Mr. Davis, focus on solving the problem. Leave the outside to me. If necessary, I'll sell my small apartment to get us through this." I couldn't hold back anymore. My eyes red. I tightly clasped Ms. Johnson's hand. Ms. Johnson blushed and squeezed my hand back. That night, lying on the narrow cot, I carefully replayed everything. The tax authorities said someone had reported me, but only a few people knew about that matter. The original accountant had resigned within 2 months. No one else knew. I suddenly remembered that night when I made a phone call. Scarlett Miller had overheard and asked what was going on. I had told her everything. Could she really be behind this? I had always indulged her every wish. What benefit would she gain if the company collapsed? Then, a thought struck me. Someone who was fired from their company for dereliction of duty, and immediately blamed me. The tax evasion report must have come from him. Scarlett Miller. Scarlett Miller, you truly are in sync with him. After all these years, I had actually been harboring a viper. After all my hard work building this company for years, you actually want to ruthlessly destroy me. Scarlett Miller, since you love Blake Anderson so much, then go to hell with him. After a week of investigation, apart from that one oversight, all other tax payments were normal. Ultimately, the company ordered the accountant to undergo further training, and imposed a triple fine on the company. That evening, I returned home. As I opened the door, I saw Scarlett Miller sitting on the sofa, laughing and talking on the phone with someone. When she saw me, her smile immediately vanished, and she said disdainfully, "So, you decided to come back now? I thought you'd be in there forever." I wearily put down my dirty clothes, and looked coldly at Scarlett Miller. "What? Disappointed I didn't die in there?" Scarlett Miller scoffed. "You deserve to die in there. Who told you to knowingly break the law?" I took a step forward, staring intently at Scarlett Miller. I couldn't understand how someone could be so heartless and disloyal, even if she didn't love me after all my years of dedication to her. Did she not feel even a shred of familial affection? Scarlett Miller, did you tell Blake Anderson about the tax issue? Did he think I made his boss fire him, so he reported me? Scarlett Miller's eyes darted away for a moment, then she said forcefully, how could that be? Do you think everyone is as despicable and shameless as you, always messing with people behind their backs? You clearly don't know how to run a company and caused the mistake. Yet he framing Blake. After Scarlett Miller finished speaking, her eyes shifted, and she ordered, starting tomorrow, I am coming to the company with you, and I'll be in charge of the accounting, with your brain. If I don't keep an eye on things, who knows what mistakes he'll cause next. I looked coldly at Scarlett Miller. So that was her true intention, regardless of whether I got out. She would use this excuse to take control of the company's financial power. The company I had worked so hard to build would end up as her and Blake Anderson's spoils. No way, I firmly refused. Seeing my firm stance, Scarlett Miller didn't cry and throw a tantrum as usual. Instead, she smiled and wrapped her arms around my arm, pouting, okay, honey, I know I was wrong before, too playful, I'll treat you well from now on, don't worry. I'll listen to you from now on. I can take care of you by working at the company, and I won't join the cycling team anymore, Scarlett Miller said, rubbing against my body, swaying her hips. I chuckled, looking at Scarlett Miller. How long had it been since she'd tried to charm me like this? It must have been right after we got married, when she sweetly coaxed me daily to put the house and car in her name. During that time, Scarlett Miller was a tender, enchanting wife. Slowly, Scarlett Miller started to disdain me, saying I always smelled of alcohol, that I was like a block of wood. After meeting Blake Anderson, she constantly compared me to him. Blake Anderson had masculine charisma. He was bold and uninhibited, humorous and witty. In short, in her eyes, Blake Anderson was a perfect man, and I couldn't even pass. They felt they had met too late, and, unable to be a couple, simply became sworn siblings. Thinking about how alone I was in the hospital, and how worried and lost I was in detention, what was Scarlett Miller doing then? She was out enjoying life all over the world with her close friend. My expression changed, and I shoved Scarlett Miller away. Scarlett Miller, dreaming. The company I built with my own hands will never benefit you two scumbags. Scarlett Miller immediately grew annoyed, but she didn't flare up. Honey, what are you talking about? I am your wife, and going to the company is to help you. What scumbags? My gaze fixed coldly on Scarlett Miller. Do you dare swear before your deceased in-laws that you and Blake Anderson are truly innocent? Scarlett Miller froze, opening her mouth. Then after a moment, she reverted to making a scene. Ethan Davis, I get it now. You never truly loved me. You've always been wary of me. You don't want me interfering with the company. So you're accusing me of cheating with someone else. You're accusing me of cheating. Watching this familiar scene, I inwardly scoffed at my own blindness. Wasn't this Scarlett Miller's old trick? If soft tactics fail, she uses tough ones. If tough ones fail, she gets aggressive. I took a deep breath and said calmly, Scarlett Miller, stop pretending. Let's go our separate ways amicably. Tomorrow, I'll have my lawyer send you the divorce agreement. The car and the house can be yours. When Scarlett Miller realized I was serious, she wiped away tears and sprang to her feet. Ethan Davis, you wish. You think one house and one car will get rid of me. I am telling you, divorce is possible. But the company must be split equally. It's marital property. I am telling you. If you don't give it to me, I'll sue you in court and have them freeze your company. Looking at Scarlett Miller's vicious expression, I smiled. Originally, out of consideration for our marital bond, I hadn't wanted to destroy her completely and make her leave with nothing. But since she wanted to rip off the last layer of pretense, I would fulfill her wish. The next day, after arriving at the company, I immediately began investigating Blake Anderson. I spent $50,000 on a well-known private investigator. I instructed the detective to closely follow Blake Anderson, reporting his every move to me. Given his questionable conduct over years of cycling, I didn't believe there wasn't something shady going on behind the scenes. And I certainly didn't believe his relationship with Scarlett Miller was simply that of sworn siblings. Originally, I just wanted to get evidence of Scarlett Miller's infidelity to make her leave with nothing, but I ended up uncovering something far more explosive. That day, the private investigator told me that in addition to his regular cycling, Blake Anderson went to a secluded abandoned building every week, and each time, Dozens of luxury cars would drive in. To avoid tipping them off, the detective hadn't dared to go inside, and first asked for my opinion. I thought for a moment, then told the detective to stay put and continue tracking him, and to notify me immediately the next time Blake Anderson went there. A few days later, I received a call from the detective. Following the location, I drove there quickly. As the location became more remote, my heart tightened. An hour later, I stopped by a gravel road. A deserted old building stood nearby. I thought for a moment and sent a few text messages. Then I quickly met up with the detective, learning that Blake Anderson had already gone inside. Followed by about 10 more cars, we quietly approached the abandoned building. When we got closer, we discovered there was also a basement. We slowly made our way down and found that it was newly renovated and equipped with advanced technology, alarms, fire safety. Everything was complete. Going to the very end, we found there were private rooms. Just as a server walked by with a tray, and I was about to call out, the detective delivered a swift hand chop. We dragged the person to the stairwell corner and quickly changed clothes. Walking to a place where music was playing, we exchanged glances and gently pushed the door open. The moment I opened the door, I froze on the spot. Dozens of men and women, scantily clad, were gyrating and groping wildly in a pool, each in a state of frenzy. It was clear they had taken something to be acting without restraint like this. Just as we were about to retreat, the music abruptly stopped, and the lights came on. All eyes turned to us. Blake Anderson walked over, his face grim. "Kid, you had a chance to avoid this, but you walked right into trouble. Since you don't want to live, I'll make sure of it." With that, several burly men surrounded us from the side. The detective grabbed me. "Quick, let's go." But it was too late. I could only grab a chair and throw it. In an instant, the room erupted into chaos. I don't know how many kicks I took. I was knocked down, but I gritted my teeth and got back up. For a moment, I regretted my rashness. I should have waited for the police to arrive before coming down. If I died at the hands of these scumbags, it would be too unfair. Who would have thought Blake Anderson was organizing activities involving prostitution and drugs? Suddenly, a punch landed on my head. I felt my brain roar, and I slowly collapsed. When I woke up again, all I saw was a plain white ceiling. As I tried to move, someone suddenly held me down. "Don't move. The doctor said you have a mild concussion and need to rest." I turned my head and saw Lily Johnson looking at me with concern. I slowly touched my head and chuckled faintly. "Good, I am not dead." Lily Johnson's eyes immediately reddened. "You still say that? Who told you to go there? If something had happened to you, I would have." Looking at the girl's annoyed expression, I smiled apologetically, reaching out and taking her hand. "Lily, I made you worry. But it won't happen again." Lily Johnson's face immediately flushed, and she tried to pull her hand back, but I stubbornly held onto it. In just 1 month, I fully understood what it felt like to have a family. Someone remembered your comfort, someone cherished your hard work, and was willing to proactively stand by you through thick and thin. Love wasn't just a simple fondness, but a mutual devotion, a shared journey. I stayed in the hospital for a week, and the police investigated for a week. It turned out Blake Anderson used organizing cycling as a front to lure young and beautiful women. He used various methods to entice them. Some were sweet-talked into bed by Blake Anderson and had videos taken. Others were caught in compromising situations by Blake Anderson. Blake Anderson used threats and inducements, promising them great profits, and even drugged them. Slowly, they began to enjoy the feeling of uninhibited pleasure. Blake Anderson acted as a pimp, introducing them to various men with specific fetishes, collecting membership and service fees, and earning huge profits. No wonder Blake Anderson was so arrogant. Scarlett Miller wasn't wrong. He indeed had extensive connections and considerable influence. After the incident, the list of men included managers, financial directors, and executives from Fortune 500 companies. There were even wives of several leaders among the women. For a time, the Riverton cycling team became a symbol of depravity. Many legitimate cycling enthusiasts were forced to stop their activities. One bad apple spoils the bunch, and many people were furious. Blake Anderson was sentenced to 5 years in prison and fined $200,000 in the first trial. Several other participants were also sentenced. The investigation revealed that Scarlett Miller was not involved in prostitution, but she had been in an improper relationship with Blake Anderson for over half a year, and surprisingly, she would slowly descend into becoming a fallen woman. Just as I was preparing to be discharged that day, Scarlett Miller arrived. She carried a thermos and stood ingratiatingly by my bedside. "Honey, I made you some chicken soup with ginseng. Let me feed you some." With that, she opened the thermos and fumbled to scoop out the soup. Scarlett Miller carefully held the bowl, scooping a small spoonful and bringing it to my lips. "Honey, how does it taste? If it's not good, I'll improve it tomorrow." I narrowed my eyes at Scarlett Miller and knocked the bowl over. "Get out. Don't ever appear before me again." The soup might have been hot, burning Scarlett Miller's hand as she shook it. Scarlett Miller frowned, enduring the pain. "Honey, don't be angry. It's not good for your health." She then carefully tugged at my sleeve, tears dripping onto the back of my hand. "Honey, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. I won't go to the company anymore, and I don't want any company shares. From now on, I'll just stay home and do your laundry and cook for you, okay?" I coldly pushed Scarlett Miller away. People can make mistakes, but they cannot be heartless. Being with someone like her, I feared that one day I might die outside and no one would even collect my body. "Scarlett Miller, pack your things and leave. You can keep the house and the car. If you don't want your shameful deeds exposed in court, then sign the papers quickly." Scarlett Miller looked at me hesitantly, then slowly knelt, clutching me. "Honey, I truly know I was wrong. Only you treat me the best. They are all liars," Scarlett Miller said, bursting into loud sobs while hugging my leg. But my heart didn't stir, nor did I feel a hint of being cherished. Just as Scarlett Miller was crying hysterically, the door was pushed open. "Mr. Davis, IVE completed the procedures. We can." Lily Johnson's cheerful voice abruptly stopped as she awkwardly looked at Scarlett Miller and me. "Mr. Davis, I'll go out first. Call me if you need anything." The young woman reluctantly turned to leave. I quickly called out, "Lily, no need. Come here and help me pack. We're getting discharged right away." The young woman hesitated, then walked over and began efficiently packing. Scarlett Miller glared at Lily Johnson, her jealousy evident. As I leaned on Lily Johnson's arm and slowly walked towards the door, Scarlett Miller sprang up and angrily pointed at Lily Johnson. "Ethan Davis, have you changed your mind? Do you like this homewrecker now?" I looked calmly at Scarlett Miller. "Scarlett Miller, who I like is my business. From the moment you betrayed our marriage, we were over." Scarlett Miller's face turned pale, and she shook her head. "Ethan, no, you promised you'd take care of me forever, and you said you'd only love me my whole life. Have you forgotten?" I scoffed. "Scarlett Miller, I did promise you, and I never forgot my commitment to you. I don't ask you to love me as much as I love you. I just wanted a warm home, a light burning for me and you. Not only did you not treat me as your husband, as family, you also conspired with your close friend to seize my company and assets, and sent me to prison. Tell me, can I still love you? How am I supposed to love you?" Scarlett Miller hastily explained. "I didn't. It was all Blake Anderson. It was all his idea. I was just tricked by him." I sighed, not wanting to get entangled with her any longer. Selfish people never acknowledge their own mistakes. They only push all the blame onto others. The next day, Scarlett Miller came to the company, bringing me soup and fruit. Scarlett Miller placed the meal on my office desk, talking to herself as she set it down. "Ethan, please try this. If it's not to your liking, I'll make something else." I glanced at the spread: chicken soup, shrimp scampi, baked salmon. For someone who had never cooked, she certainly put a lot of effort into it. I said flatly, "No need. Someone has already prepared a meal for me. Please sign the divorce papers as soon as possible. After this, there's no need for you to come to the company." Scarlett Miller looked at me pleadingly. "Ethan, I'm trying to be a good wife now. Please give me another chance." I let out a bitter laugh. So she wasn't completely heartless. She knew she wasn't a good wife. After all this time, she had simply relied on my love, mercilessly trampling on my sincerity. I raised my hand and pressed the bell. Within a minute, the security guards arrived. "Escort Ms. Miller out. From now on, she's not allowed in without an appointment." I stared blankly at my documents, not looking up at her again. Scarlett Miller struggled, unwilling to leave, but the two security guards each took an arm and escorted her out. As they left, they ran into Lily Johnson, who was returning with my meal. Scarlett Miller glared at Lily Johnson, as if she wanted to devour her whole, with my instructions. Scarlett Miller couldn't get into the company, so she waited for me in the parking lot instead. She'd bring me seasonal clothes or shoes, but I threw them all into the trash. Since Scarlett Miller refused to sign, I had no choice but to sue her. Based on the evidence I provided, it was ruled that Scarlett Miller was the at-fault party, and that she had contributed nothing of value to the marriage after we were wed. The court granted the divorce, ordering Scarlett Miller to leave with nothing. I listed the house with an agent, and because the price was low, it sold within a few days. She refused to leave the luxury condo, and the new owners had to call the police to have her removed. Later, I heard she went out looking for a job. Accustomed to a life of luxury and lacking any professional experience, no company would hire her. Out of desperation, she began working as a hostess at a nightclub, often getting completely drunk and collapsing on the street. Hearing this, I simply smiled. It had nothing to do with me anymore. My company currently had 18 orders, and the workers were working overtime at full capacity. While busy with company affairs, I was also meticulously preparing for the wedding. Next month, I would marry my fiancée, Lily Johnson, and begin my new life. On our wedding day, I took Lily Johnson's hand, and solemnly made the promise of lifelong devotion. As I looked up, I thought I saw a familiar figure hiding behind a pillar. Before I could look closer, the figure quickly vanished. The officiants' congratulations and thunderous applause filled my ears. Lily Johnson opened her arms, and I passionately embraced and kissed my bride.